so we're going to move on and we're going to talk about the main types of eukaryotes. So we're going to be focusing on plant cells and animal cells. So here you've got two pretty classic diagrams. A couple big things to notice just right off the bat is going to be the general shape of the cell. So animal cells tend to look rounder, whereas plant cells, because again they have that cell wall, they're going to look a little bit more structured, almost a little bit more rigid. So things that plants and animal cells have in common. So all plant and animal cells are going to have a nucleus, right? They have mitochondria, they have ER, or endoplasmic reticulum, cytoplasm, and ribosomes. Okay, but there's going to be a few things that we're going to focus on, some key differences here. So plant cells are going to have cell walls. We talked about that in the last lecture where we were looking at the difference between prokaryotes and eukaryotes, and we said that bacteria and plant cells both have a cell wall, whereas animal cells do not. Plant cells also have chloroplasts. Chloroplasts are going to be what makes leaves look green, and that's where photosynthesis happens. So that's why only plants can go through photosynthesis, because only plants have chloroplasts. And then we're also going to be looking for large central vacuoles as well. What you see here is a picture from a microscope, so a micrograph, of some animal cells being magnified. And so again, what you're looking at here is you can see sort of the rigid outline of the cell wall, and then you see all these little green things. Those are your chloroplasts. And then with our animal cells, again, we're not going to see a cell wall, so the cell shape is going to be very different. No chloroplasts, so they're not going to look green. And you're not going to see it in microscope pictures, but in drawings and diagrams, you're going to see several smaller vacuoles. This is a kind of a pretty stereotypical picture that you would see of an animal cell. So again, they're going to be rounder, they're not as rigid looking, there's more variation in their shape because there's no cell wall. And you're usually just going to see, if you're looking at a microscope picture like this, you're going to see like the roundness of the animal cell, and then you're going to see sort of a dark part in the center, and that's going to be the nucleus that you're looking at. So now, why are cells important? First, cells are going to be the basic unit of life, so in order for something to be alive, it has to be at least one cell big. And then there's obviously animals and plants that have millions or billions or even trillions of cells, so like us, for example. But they're also really important to provide orderly structure for living things. So now, what do I mean by orderly structure? Well, if you were to look at any large organism, so in this case we're looking at a plant, you're going to start by looking at organelles. So you've got these sort of groups of large groups of molecules that form these macromolecules that all work together to perform a job within a cell. Those are your organelles. Then when you have groups of organelles working together, they're going to form a cell. And now the cell, again, is the smallest living thing, or the most basic unit of life. So this is the first time we've got something alive. So organelles themselves are not alive, but cells are. Now you're going to have groups of cells that work together to form tissues, groups of tissues that work together to form organs. You'll have different organs that work together to form organ systems. And then finally, when you have groups of organ systems working together to keep an organism alive, that's when you have an organism. Alright, so cells are important. Again, they're the basic unit of life, and they help to provide orderly structure for living things. And what you're looking at here is sort of all the different levels that cells can be organized. So again, you can have individual cells, groups of cells working together to form tissues, tissues working together to form organs, organs working together to form organ systems, and then finally, when a living thing has all of its organ systems working together to keep it alive, you're looking at an organism. So now let's do another quick check. So 4 questions. Pause the video if you need to write down your answers, but I would like to know, number 1, what do plant and animal cells have in common? Number 2, what are 3 major differences between plant and animal cells? 3, if you were to look at an animal cell under a microscope, what main organelle would you see? And then finally, if you were to look at a plant cell under a microscope, what main organelle would you see? Alright guys, jot down your answers and I'll see you in class. Thanks.